Unmute. Hello, we are live. Kyle's here. I'm here. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Kyle. How are we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Ron?
Fantastic. Welcome in, everybody, to Rip the Lip Over the Cushion, our weekly podcast where we talk about everything dirt racing, from 600 micros to slingshots to big block modifieds, everything in between. Whatever we kind of enjoy talking about, any of the current events and stuff. And we like to interview drivers that, that are either doing something great in the sport, winning a lot of races, or just, down to talk about dirt racing. So welcome in. Glad to have everybody watching on Facebook and YouTube. So appreciate everybody. I had an intro written down, but I didn't do it. I just looked at it and I had the intro and I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. Come off the top. But we are live every Sunday. Yeah, we are live every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern, both on Facebook and YouTube. And full versions of the podcast will be available on both Facebook, YouTube, and Anchor. So that Anchor does something where it kind of spreads it out to, all the different places. So anywhere you can get podcasts, you can kind of find us. But cool. Before we bring on our special guest here, definitely want to go over a couple things that have been going on, I guess, in racing. I guess first we can just kind of chat about real quick. We'll just go over the Eastern States weekend. I know you're not a big modified guy, Kyle, but they had Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Orange County Fair Speedway. Short Track Super Series hard clay finale for the North region was on Friday. Matt Shepard led pretty much the whole lap race, and then got passed by Anthony Perego, with like 8 to go. Track slicked off pretty bad, and he came off the bottom, tried to pass the lap car, and it didn't work. And then Saturday they had the 358 100 lap event. Oh, hi! Oh no! Oh God! Please, do not come out here. No, it's not. It's not funny. Go. Oh my God. We have naked children running around, and that is not something I want to happen. She just like bursts in here. I'm like, oh my God, we better close this up. Okay, anyway, Saturday was the 100
modifieds and got excited.
Apparently. I mean, I've been putting them around racing their whole life. They're getting pumped up. Saturday was the 100 lapper, the 358 race at Eastern States. Again, Matt Shepard led a bunch of laps and then got passed on the last lap by 2 cars. Did the same exact thing. He tried to pass the lap cars on the top, and it didn't work out for him because the bottom was completely dominant.
Did I see something like there was a photo? I didn't really get the story where like he didn't come to the podium on the front stretch or something like that. Like he just disappeared. I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, so he blew up his big block motor in his car for the 200 lapper. So supposedly he left to go to the shop, somebody's shop that was going to help him put it all back together and put a new motor in. But everyone's kind of mad because he couldn't take like 5 minutes to, take photos with the other 2.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? If he won, he would have stayed the whole time and took pictures, and then went to work on his stuff. So
gotcha.
That's kind of the issue with that one for sure.
About it, so I didn't really.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. I can understand him being super mad. He got passed on the last turn of the last lap and everything, which kind of sucks. But today was the 200 lapper, the big block race, and Stuart Friesen won his last chance qualifier from last because he was doing the truck series race stuff. So flew in, did the last chance qualifier, last to first, started like 40th, and by like lap 98 he took the lead.
That's awesome.
Just like crushing everybody. He had the fastest car by far. But again, he got stuck behind some lap cars, tried to push the issue. I think he ran into the Jersey barrier because Orange County has the walls on both sides, on the inside and the outside. Hit that. His left front went down. Shepard got around him toward the end of the race. He still finished second, but Shepard ended up winning the, I think, $30,000 or $40,000 thing. And this is his 4th 200 lap win this year. He won the Eastern States today. He won Super Dirt Week. He won the Fonda 200, and he won the Fulton Outlaw 200. I mean, just go kind of ballparking it. I think he's close to 650,000 at this point winnings for this year.
Yeah,
It's
that's
absolutely
insane.
nuts. Absolutely
That's
nuts.
insane.
Oh yeah, another thing, the trend indoor dirt, the East Coast Indoor Dirt Nationals is back in February, which is super
Yep.
cool. What do you have? Anything on that?
Uh, no, I mean, in years past, it's pulled a lot of good drivers out, and last time we ran, we had his name slipping my memory. He ran the Alphabet Soup. John Keller ran the Alphabet Soup
Oh,
through all the mains to come and win that race. That was really
I
cool.
remember that. That was
Year before
wild.
that, I think it was Whitey Kid that picked up the win. It's always a great race to watch. I mean, it's a tight little tiny track, and you can kind of get running two lanes there. So I think I'm gonna put my car together and try and run it. Yet to be determined yet.
That'd be sweet.
With working on the TQ and stuff, but not having a third indoor race this year with the TQ. I think we're gonna try and put the micro together and go try to make the race with that and see how we do. I think it's my kind of track, being a short little bull ring. It's always fun to watch, so I imagine it'll be just as fun to race in.
Yeah, especially how the sport has progressed since the last time they had it there. So, in my opinion, I think it's the racing's got a lot more aggressive and a lot more kind of on edge. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They're giving less and less room every year, especially like a lot of these younger drivers are really pushing the envelope. So like
yeah,
the feature you watched from the last time they did it, they had two lanes going and it was pretty good. But I think there's going to be some serious sliders and people really pushing the envelope early, which is going to be super cool to watch.
yeah. It's gonna be elbows up for sure. So I mean, hopefully we can make it out and run it. I think it's gonna be a good show. And while we're on the topic, I didn't really realize it when they released the other indoor races, but it came up that they are running dirt 600s on the pavement in Atlantic City, which is interesting. They
Wow.
haven't done that for some time. I actually don't remember the last time that they did that as like a full separate class. Some of the dirt 600 guys will run with the TQs with the 600 motor, but this is going to be its own separate class, it seems to be. So I'm curious to see how many guys are going to come out for that. Unfortunately, for somebody like me, if I'm trying to run the Dirt Trenton race in February, I can't really swap the whole car over, I don't think, and run it for Atlantic City. It wouldn't make sense for me to do. But the thought has crossed my mind. It's just gonna be a lot of work doing
That's
double
just
duty
like a
with that and the 600 or the TQ.
yeah. If you had two cars, sure, but
Yeah,
yeah, trying to do that because that's just probably a mess. Just trying to figure out even how to run those things on the pavement. What else did we have? We had the KKM give back
yeah, Port City.
at Port
That
City.
I only got to run or watch the highlights there. I think it was Thursday night in the prelim night one. Steven Snyder Jr. picked up the win. The track was really really cool track, and it started out on the bottom, went to the top, and you had a bunch of people running all over. And at the end, it came down to everybody running around the bottom there. And Steven Snyder just snuck up and got in there and won. He was the defending champion from last year. Prelim night two, Kyle Spence picked up the win. And then ultimately last night, he picked up the win of the whole event. So he will be going to the Chili Bowl in a KKM midget to run that. That'll be a very cool deal.
That's awesome. Sorry, my son popped in. He wanted to know. He's like, I have a cord running from my router to here, and he's like, "What's this cord doing?" Another thing is
Don't unplug it.
yeah, don't unplug it, please. At the end of the month, this month is the 10K to win Millbridge Carolina Micro Showdown. It's be interesting to see how many people go down for that. I don't even know what the entry fee is for that kind of
I don't
race.
either.
It's got to be brutal, to be honest. Like putting up that much money. Whew.
I wonder if
That's
that's something I can pull up real quick.
that'd be super cool. That'd be very cool to go. It stinks because it's on Dirt Vision, so we'll have like if you want to watch it, you gotta. I think if you rent it, I'm sure it won't be like too bad. I think it's a multi-day event. Yeah, it's October 31st and November 1st, so 2-day event. It's gonna be sweet though. But yeah, we're gonna roll into our guest here. So we have a very special guest with us tonight on Over the Cushion. He is someone many of you already know. He's been racing for many years, from quarter midgets all the way up to 410 sprint cars. He's the 2017 Hamlin Track Champion for the rookie division, qualified for the Outlaw Non-Wing A-Main at the Tulsa Shootout, and has snagged his first 360 wingless sprint car feature win this year at Selinsgrove. We have Joey, the Big Show Amantea. How are we doing, Joey?
Another day. How you doing, Ron?
Pretty great, man. Thanks for being on the show. Really appreciate it, man.
No problem. No problem. I always I have some podcast roots myself, so always always happy to come on shows like these.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah. You've been super busy this year, like extremely busy. So that's not always a bad thing. I guess it's sometimes a good thing when you're behind the wheel. But
No, absolutely.
But let's start from the beginning. Where did your racing start, and did you have did you have like family that raced prior to you getting into it, or is it kind of just when you were younger you just wanted to start? And
Well, this is actually a great story. So when I was a wee little child, in the late 2000s, my mom had a really good idea. Put me in dance.
Okay.
And I know this doesn't sound relevant, but it eventually will. Well, so my dad, none of our family had racing background. My dad's he's kind of the guy to not watch his son dance. Well, I rolled out on a stage with a big yellow yoga ball dancing the shiny teeth in me. And my dad turned to my mom and said, "That is never happening again." And a week later, a race car showed up. So that's kind of how
That is amazing.
that's kind of how my racing career started. But I started off in quarter midgets, right next to Pocono Raceway, the little Lehigh Valley track they had. And then ran quarter midgets till I was 11, and then when I was 12 years old, we got my first 600, and ran Hamlin every week. My first season, ran a little bit of Kutztown and Greenwood, but ended up winning the rookie 600 championship at Hamlin, which it's kind of cool if you go look back at the driver roster of that year. A lot of the guys I ran against run sprint cars now, and sprint cars, late models, modified. Like a lot of guys have moved up and onward.
Yeah, to be honest, that the rookie division at Hamlin in years past was like super stacked. And
it was
like,
insane. We used to
it
show
always
up,
like 20,
40 of us.
Yeah, it was insane how many rookies
in the day. We split the features, and so in the rookie division, no matter what, you get to race. That was the whole thing back then with it.
Yeah.
So we'd have to split our features. So like we'd have
I remember that.
Some nights we'd have 2 features, and
that's
right. It was hard. It was hard to win. We ended up that year.
Yeah.
I actually have the plaque in my room somewhere. I think I got 5 feature wins that year.
Yep, I was looking back on my race pass on 2017, man. It was crazy because you got so many cars. It was like no one really cared about the regulars because they watched all the rookies, man.
The rookie guys, we put on a show. I mean,
seriously.
And then, 2020, I got my first real. So my goal when I was little, I always wanted to be a sprint car driver. Non-wing, wing, whatever. No, definitely not. the dance. I one day when I told my crew chief Brian that one day when we win a wing race, I'm gonna really show you guys what a wing dance means.
Yes.
So 2020, I got my first real opportunity to run a sprint car, and of course, the year COVID happened. So we ran USAC East Coast. We only got to run like 5 or 6 shows. So really, for me, it really wasn't that beneficial. Didn't learn much, but we did get. I got my first top 5 in USAC East Coast at the end of 2020. So definitely, for me at the time, I was 16, so it was only a couple of years ago. You know, still extremely new to this compared to the vast majority of these teams. So it was definitely nerve-wracking for sure. And then last year was really the first season we got that still technically wasn't a season. We ended up with, I think, 19, 18 shows, the sprint car, because we were still focusing on the micro sprint a little bit.
Hmm.
And then this year, really, we decided, once we acquired, we got last year's USAC East Coast champion crew chief, is on our team now. So this year was the year that we decided we're going to go all in on the sprint car stuff, and the micro is going to take kind of a back seat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
then
actually, I was curious, how did you end up meeting up with Brian? Because I grew up racing quarter midgets with Brian actually.
I
for
did
a
the
long
same.
Time,
I've known Brian my whole life. He so he left Hummer Motorsports at the end of 2021, and originally, because I've been friends with him my whole life, he wanted to get out of racing completely, go a different route. But my dad kind of we actually brought him to the Linda's Nationals. We had a blast, so that kind of convinced him, hey, let's give it one more go, and we've had a blast ever since.
that's really cool.
We want to strangle each other every day, but that's the fun of racing. You just want to
That's how it works.
get. That's exactly right. That's how it works. But this year has been a game changer for us with him, and me is just improving as a driver, and honestly everything. Start the year was great. First day of 2022, I did a goal of mine. After 3 years of trying, I made the Tulsa Shootout. It was really hard. Like we heat race for us went 8th to 2nd and was 9th out of over 300 cars in passing master or passing points. Started second, I believe, in the qualifier, and got the lead, and they called me for a jump start, but it was, in my opinion, the driver who started on the pole is to get some special treatment. I don't want to talk too deep about that. And then had to run a B main. Ended up winning the B main, and it's amazing. You run a B main and you don't actually make the show. Then you go to an LCQ, which is technically the B main.
That's super. That's so weird. I can never wrap my head. I mean, I grew up around modified, so it was like, B main to A main type thing.
No.
But we never had
Tulsa
like
guys
hundreds of
just
cars.
throw that out the book. They
don't care.
Oh, let's just make it miserable.
So you got into the Tulsa Shootout with the Outlaw class.
Outlaw non-wing, yeah.
So
Outlaw non-wing.
Talking to Christian Bruno last week, his explanation of an Outlaw motor was just like, you get so much more power than a regular 600 motor, even if it's a 636.
It's insane. It's not even comparable. An Outlaw, like our Outlaw stuff, we use Lyman Motorsports. He builds a absolutely dominant Yamaha R6, and those things.
So like, what do they just do? Do they just take a block and then they just put every top end racing stuff in it, or what?
Right, you can literally, they just, if like, they only have 2 gears. You do everything you possibly can to those motors to get them powerful, and it's extremely noticeable.
Did your experience in the like the 360 like help with that extra power, like compared to someone who went from like a 600 to an Outlaw?
It's kind of like the 360 to the 600 in a way, like honestly, the vast majority of the time in the sprint car, you're not on the gas.
Yeah.
So
that's
crazy.
Like
the only time really, and we went to, it's called Pittsburgh Motor Speedway, and that was the first time I truly experienced speed of a four. That was in the 410. So this is a good story. Track rained for 2 hours before we raced.
Boy.
They wanted to call it. We all said you shouldn't. Let's race. Well, in a non-wing 410, we're flat foot going around the entire track, and the track's a 5/8 mile. If that tells you anything on how fast we were going.
Jeez.
Ricky Lewis ended up quick time. I was second quick, in only my 5th 410 show ever. Well, it turns out we shattered the track record by over 3 seconds. And we're going so fast. My dad thought I was romping on the throttle to wheelie down the straightaway. No, the cars were just naturally lifting up. They
It's like, don't let.
yeah, we were moving that night. I think they clocked us at like 150 top speed
Sheesh.
and average 139.
Goodness
Something around
gracious,
there.
man.
That's wild.
Good
But
night, sis.
I guess to answer your question, if I remember it right, the sprint car totally slowed down the micro. The micro sprint to me is just peanuts. Like it just feels like you're rolling around. But at the same time, it's two completely different driving styles. With the micro sprint, a lot of guys compare them to a midget with how twitchy they are, and that's the truth. Because a sprint car is a dump truck. You gotta, if you want to make a move, you gotta really know when you're making it. Where, excuse me, in a micro sprint, you can kind of choose at like the last second if I want to dive down to the bottom or do whatever.
Yeah, I was always curious how big of a difference it is. I mean, I've only gotten like under 10 laps in a 600, so it's like I still don't really understand how to drive them.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, it just seems like you're on the gas almost constantly. And then
Absolutely, like us at Kutztown.
I've only driven
at
out
our
of Hamlin, so
Kutztown.
it's like as soon as you
Mhm.
lift, then you should be back in the gas, and I didn't, so I
Absolutely.
looped it. But you learn that really quick.
Yeah, that's honestly exactly right. Like the way just the way the cars are, like when we go to Kutztown, which Kutztown did not treat us well this year. We should have had a win. We just had mechanical fail. Led 17 laps of a race and had mechanical failure leading. that's just my luck. And then from there I flipped and wrecked.
Oh, I remember that picture of
Yeah,
you just
I
standing there with
was
your hands
watching
in
it.
your hip, looking at the car. You're like, what are you
Yeah,
doing to
I'm
me,
like-
man?
I'm like, man, this is just normal now. I'm just used to it. And then the Kutztown to me hates me with a passion. I finally. So one of the things I wanted to do this year was get a heat race when we USAC East Coast, and I ended up winning my first USAC East Coast heat race at Kutztown. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna have a good night. Lap 6 of the feature, the motor blows up. And I'm like, oh,
Great.
okay.
I hate to
The
see it.
the Kutztown curse has nothing against the car, so it could be any car I want. It's just never gonna go away.
Yeah, I remember two of the times. I think I was there for when you were leading and the car broke, and when you flipped. And I just remember watching, and I'm like, damn, he's really fast tonight. He's probably gonna win. And then I'm like, when your car broke, I'm like, where'd he go? He's just gone. I was like,
Damn.
Yeah,
I
I gotta
just
be
remember
honest. That
watching,
was,
and then you were gone.
that was like it's so weird. That was the least upset I think I've ever been for mechanical failure, and I have no idea why, but I kind of just knew in the back of my head that like it's Kutztown.
Here we
It's nothing
go.
new.
Know exactly what you mean. That's me at Atlantic City every year.
Yeah, hence why we will not be there a lot next year, and we've already all honestly. I love the micro sprint. It's one of my favorite cars I've ever driven. It's just a fun car, but like right now, it seems the racing is, yeah, everybody's really rough, and just at least at Action Track, at least I notice a lot of guys just will take you out for no reason. Like there's guys spin the night I flipped, somebody spun out on the straightaway. Like how do you spin out on the straightaway?
Well, we were just talking about the Trent indoor race, and if you go back and watch the old video, sometimes there's two lanes. Everyone's kind of, a bit respectful, and all I can think about is like how the racing's changed in those last 2 years or something, and how
Yeah, it's completely
how
different.
aggressive people. Like I mean, they'll throw 2-car sliders on people.
Mhm.
Like just watch
Yeah,
a
respect
Millbridge
is
race.
gone. It's
Watch a
been thrown
Millbridge
out the
race
window.
because those guys are out of their damn minds. Like
Um,
like it's crazy. But I mean,
But
hey,
like
you
Trenton, I've got a bone to pick with that place.
Oh, jeez.
We were really
repeat that.
we were super good at Trenton the last time we were there. I think in the heat race, I've transferred from the heat race to the qualifier. Was running 4th or 5th in the qualifier in a lock-in spot for the feature, and the car shut off because it bogged down too much and hit a pothole. Because of course it was. I guess I don't know, Kyle, if you remember, there was a major crater forming in 3 and 4.
Yeah.
And I just hit it, and the car went bleh, and yeah, it was all right. We're in the C main.
Were you still in
but-
third, or would you stay
Yeah.
in second?
No, I fell back to like eighth. I was
No, I
just
mean
like,
the gears. Like usually, like
oh
Halen,
no, the car.
you're in third gear. But if you're at that small track, do you switch to second
No,
or?
you honestly, I'm in. It's just so dependent on what you can get your car from fifth gear if you want. It's just all what guys prefer to do. Um,
Oh,
but then ended up in the C main, transferred from the C main to the B, started dead last in the B main, and actually won it.
yo,
Started, I think, 11th in the feature, 11th or 13th. But like on lap 11, 12, was up to sixth, and we had a shot to win. We were super fast, and the leaders took every fast car out of contention in the top 10.
oh my gosh,
Um, Made a cool story
no.
for John Keller, but really pissed me off considering how hard I worked to get to the feature.
Oh my
But
goodness.
Yeah, I
that'll
remember.
be Trenton is going to be one I do. I've for micro sprints, honestly, it's going to be super pick and choose for us next year. Because we plan on doing a big sprint car schedule with wing, non-wing, 360, 410.
Nice.
I'd like to get a midget opportunity, do some stuff with that.
That'd be sweet. Those
Which
cars are
kind of
crazy
got
too.
something going on there.
Are you
But
gonna go to
micro
like Bridgeport at
sprints
all?
with what? Just anything?
Winged car. They seem.
Actually, we're doing that this year. We're going
Oh, you
November
going?
5th.
Oh, nice.
We're gonna do the URC winged race as my one wing start this year. So don't know if I'm gonna learn a lot, but we're gonna have some fun. But yeah, the micros we're gonna do Tulsa this year as one final Tulsa shootout, and then next year to start, we go to Florida we're gonna go to Florida for 600 Speed Week, and then the following week we run Volusia with the Extreme Outlaws. So that kind of works out, and then we'll make the trek back home and run Trenton, and then really from there with the 600, I don't know what we're gonna do. Just
Damn.
I know one race I'd like to do is Bridgeport Speed Week, just because we were good there this year.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's gonna be extremely pick or choose, because every day I walk in my shop and I love looking at my nice clean 600 that's not destroyed, and
Yeah.
I just think to myself, it looks so nice,
So
not
good up
broken.
there.
And I hate fixing it. I'll fix a sprint car any day. The micro sprint, it's a pain in the ass. Everything is so tiny.
Oh,
All the parts, and sprint car is so easy. You knock a front end out of a sprint car, it's all big. It's you just throw it out.
jeez. Yeah, so
have
you got
you
a
run-
big schedule, man. Like, you should do a YouTube channel or something, man. Tanner
I've
hones
got
that
a-
stuff, man. Start
Get
I
at
got a
least.
lot of GoPro stuff. I'm trying to just get that started. I actually just got my website revamped, up and running, and now
I
I can
saw
sell
that, yep.
merchandise off of it.
Very nice.
But I actually, once the season's over, I'm gonna go through all our GoPro footage, and see what's all good, and just start a YouTube channel for that stuff. Throw races up, because there's no reason not to.
Yeah,
I
at
love
this point, you're like your Facebook's pretty big, and like there's no reason like not to like try to at
Yeah,
least give a
absolutely.
little
We've
more
got-
content to the people who follow, because I'm sure, I mean, in-car videos do pretty well, and if you can do like a time lapse of you working on a car, maybe that'll do even better, to be honest. But
Yeah, no, we got a lot of cool stuff in the works. Actually, I'm gonna release it in a few days once I get the final things. But we have new merchandise coming for next year that a lot of people are gonna love. We the same guys, the Factory Cane people, mocked it up, and it looks I think it's gonna sell, and we all think it's gonna sell. It's a pretty cool looking shirt. Um,
yeah, I'll definitely have to take a look at it. But as far as your 360 career, you got your first win at Selinsgrove. I was trying to look for any video on it. I don't think Flow Racing was
no,
there that night, which is
I
unfortunate.
actually, no, they Selinsgrove's got their own thing. I don't know what the whole deal is, but I actually uploaded that on YouTube on my mom's account. The quality is, I messed up and I uploaded it in the wrong quality. So it's kind of
Yeah,
I mean, it's watchable. I
but
mean,
it's, yeah.
It's
I-
But
been-
like,
I got- I gotta re-upload it in the or the 4K because I have the GoPro Hero 10s and I clicked the wrong
nice.
button. I'm like, I waited 45 minutes for the thing to upload, and then it uploaded. And I'm like, oh man.
Yeah, I only have the Hero 8, but sometimes I'll try to like tell someone just hit this button, and then they hit the button more than once, and it's like taking a like a
Yeah,
like
yeah. It
a
takes an hour and a
it
half
takes a
to
picture or
download
it
it.
takes like a time lapse or something. It's like, guys, just hit the
Hmm.
button. Like that's it. But yeah, back to that 360. When I guess could you walk us through like that night? I guess because like it's pretty special. I mean, everyone was talking about it. It's pretty wild because I mean you really haven't run too many 360 races, and it's like uh, pretty incredible that you're able to win so quickly in the car. I mean,
Yeah, no, I mean Selinsgrove. It's for a new team like, but honestly, we're just a super new team. Like the guys that have been winning this year are established race teams. Like Briggs, I know Briggs is a relatively new driver, but
dude,
he's running for a team who's been running for 25 years.
yeah, well,
So
that kid could drive. I mean, let's.
absolutely,
He's an.
Briggs is. I've
He's
raced with Briggs my whole life, and now that we're fast, we put up a good fight for him. I
that's
just need a
good.
motor to not blow up.
Yeah.
Um, I think we've got that covered now. But Selinsgrove start the night. Actually, it's a good story. After
I love good
Kutztown, we blew
stories.
up and we had no motors. So we ended up buying a motor off a Dallas Shot, and threw it in the car. Went to Bloomsburg, got rained out at Bloomsburg, and then next night was Selinsgrove. It was kind of a shame. We only got 13 cars, but out of the 13 cars that were there, you had the two competitive guys. Like Alex and Briggs were both there. So the
Oh,
guys that
jeez.
win and compete, even though it wasn't a full field or whatever, you could say whatever you want. The guys that win were there. So
Yeah,
we
beating
we
those
beat
two
them.
is like
Right.
it's like beating Shepard and Friesen in a modified. Like,
Absolutely.
it's like those are the guys.
Um, so heat race started. I can't pull. I am terrible with pill draw. I always start in the back, so I don't even care anymore. I'm just so used to it. Went seventh to second in the heat race. Started. Oh man, where did I start? I believe I started. I started third. Mike Thompson was on the pole. I forgot who was second. But me and Bruno was second actually. Yeah. Um,
Oh,
Ended up
Bruno was
going
there
third to
too, so
second.
another good driver.
Yeah. Um, yeah, got second off the start, and me and Thompson had a good race going for a while, and we ended up hitting lap traffic, and I was on the outside of him, coming off a two, and he kind of came up the track and ran over my front end, and that's kind of where I'm like, all right, it's on. We're gonna race now.
They were racing.
Um, and then actually the next lap threw a slider on him going into one and made a little bit of contact, not intentionally, but you know, just
Hard racing.
honestly the track was super narrow and we
Just
just
hard
hard
racing.
racing.
Yeah, yeah.
Got the lead and never looked back. We had over a second advantage. Pulling away
Nice.
from the field, and then the caution comes out with 2 to go. I'm like, oh my god.
That's how it always works. It's like they're looking for the lap
Yeah,
counter.
yeah. Then I'm looking on the ticker. Oh, the 5G second. Great, awesome.
Damn.
Yeah, right.
But he had not. We had in 2 laps had a 9/10 lead on him, so we were the class of the field that night. And then honestly, then from there, we've been competitive. I give the 5G and the 20 a fight every single week. We're always there now. Just our motor program was kind of messed up to begin with, but now we've got Newman's Racing Engines, the same guy that does Logan Schuhart and Jacob Allen stuff, doing all of our motors now, and he's got a fresh bullet for us that we got to pick up Wednesday for Bridgeport
Nice.
this weekend. So we're definitely headed in the right direction there, and not a lot of guys realize that, but even non-wing motor's huge. If you don't have a really hard hitting motor, you're not you're not.
Yeah, I mean those
you're
are
not- you don't-
serious
you're not
machines.
gonna win.
Serious machines. But hey, I mean,
Absolutely.
having the new crew chief, definitely. I mean, that seemed to as soon as you
That was
brought him
huge,
on
too.
board,
I
like you
mean-
guys are just competitive now. Just once you
You-
get the motors situated, man, it's gonna be serious business.
Yeah, we talk about that all the time. We actually finished third at Selinsgrove in the first night we ran there, and at the time we still kind of had our not race winning motors. but we were tracking down Briggs and Alex, and we just think like, what if we had, what could have been? Same thing. Bridgeport earlier this year got the lead on lap 2 and led like 4 or 5 laps, and then honestly, I pulled in and I told him I just couldn't go anymore. The motor, it just wouldn't let me drive more harder.
I just wanted more pedal.
Yeah, just to accomplish what we have with what we had in such a short amount of time. I tell Brian all the time, like you took a 15th place team and made them a winner, and now we are. I honestly, well, I know we're in the top 5 most competitive teams in our series on a weekly basis. Because every night we show up, we're a threat to win, and I know that now, and just super thankful for that. Because ever since I was little, my goal, like I said, is to be a sprint car driver. And in order to do that the correct way and professionally, like I want to be, you have to win races. And now that we are winning races, people are opening up their eyes. Also, getting top 5 with Boss was huge for us. A lot of people noticed that and commented on that for how new we are in the 410 stuff, because people don't realize the 410 and 360 completely different, not even comparable.
That's some big power upgrade, man. That's serious.
Essentially, especially non-wing 360, you can kind of, I guess an easy way to explain it is you can kind of drive off the right front a little and turn that way. But 410, yeah, good luck. Yeah, you have your foot. That's it.
It's all throttle.
Yeah, it's when you're on a heavy track and qualifying, your heart sinks, and I've had that happen. But
yeah, I can't even imagine.
It's just about as terrifying as it gets, because you just pray, and I'm a big believer in God, and I've the way I drive, he's real, because I shouldn't be around anymore. But no, it's honestly good. Like USAC East Coast right now is all the top of the line micro sprint guys who are around here. You got it's just so many talented 600 guys that not necessarily don't want to do winged racing, but around here there's really nothing for a non-wing guy to do besides winged racing. So to have this series to get our feet wet in it's just great. It's just great all around for the sport.
Yeah, it's definitely cool to see all the micro guys moving up to run the sprint cars together and still being able to compete together and put on a good show. I mean, you guys, you've run against a lot of the micro guys. Who do you think are some people to watch as they're moving up into the sprint car stuff from micros?
Honestly, right, like there's just so many names. One of them just won the biggest 600 race right now. Kyle Spence. He's pretty kick-ass in the sprint car, and every time he's on the track, he can win. Like there's just so many guys that can win. Kind of fresh into it. I know a few people who I can't say who are going into the USAC East Coast deal next year from micros. But as of right, that ones that are already in it. JT Ferry, I'm good buddies with him. He's a good rookie, and he's got a really talented future ahead of him. Other than that, like
the Saucony cars, right?
Yep, he just bought one of Lou's cars. Who else is running 600? There's me, Bruno, Mike Thompson's in it, Aiden Borden, who's from last year to this year's also got way more competitive. Colin White, every time he shows up, he's pretty competitive. Obviously Alex.
Steven Snyder just does wing the 600s, or has he tried?
Yeah, I don't think Steven's I don't know what he's doing. I know just from talking to him, he hasn't gotten the opportunity to go sprint car racing yet. Mm-hmm. I'm sure if he did, he would be just as good as the rest of us. I mean,
be another top talent.
Mm-hmm. Like the nice thing about it's kind of nice too for us is we're all the guys in USAC East Coast grew up racing with each other, so it's kind of got that family already established. Now, granted, in the sprint car world, everybody hates each other, so you gotta look out for yourself at the end of the day. But it's kind of nice just to have the familiarity with the guys, and you kind of know how they run, and you know where they're gonna run. Like Kenny Miller. I know he's gonna run the bottom. He doesn't go to the top. And then you got guys. Who really likes running the top? Spence. Honestly, Spence runs the top a lot.
I was gonna say you because you're always up there.
Yeah, I love the
anytime,
top.
anytime you can. When I watch you on like at Kutztown when you were at the 360, like as soon as you got up to the top, you just like passed like 3 cars. Like it wasn't even close.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that heat race actually was great.
I watched that heat race and I was like, I had to post about it immediately. I was like, this dude is going ham. He's ready.
Yeah,
to
we were really hooked up that
was
night.
the one where you, I think you broke the car or something, right?
Yeah, blew up. Yep, grenaded in the feature.
Got to live up to the nickname somehow. Hey, speaking of which, how did you end up with the nickname The Big Show?
That's quarter midget days. So the guy who makes my suits, Butch Lamb, used to be the USAC national quarter midget announcer. We were at a dirt race at West End and started third in a feature. Got wrecked on lap 1. Chain popped off. Great start to this. Restarted 12th or 13th, whatever it was back then. And worked my way up through the field. And on the last lap of the last turn, I passed the leader and won the race. So pull into the infield. He's like, "Man, that was a big show you put on there." And he's like, "Yeah, it was." Or I'm like, "Yeah, it was." And he's like, "Oh, you're the Big Show." And I'm like, and from there it stuck.
I personally remember the wrestling, the big
Yeah,
show.
that's so funny you say that. That's kind of there's a little bit of that in the new merchandise.
Oh, good, because that's like the first thing that came to mind, and I was like, that's a perfect nickname.
Yeah,
man.
you guys,
perfect.
you guys will love that. It meshes very well. But ever since then, every time I go on the racetrack, there's 3 things I do. First, I pray, make sure I'm alive at the end of this, and everybody else is okay. Second, just think about kind of how I want to start the race, and third, how I'm gonna live up to my nickname. That's
Yeah.
Those are the 3 main things. But
Kind of the same way. I mean, I've always just done everything that you can to try and stand out, whether it's on the track, off the track. Any publicity is good publicity, whether it's good or bad. Kind of just, do
that's
what you
exactly
gotta do
right.
to make headlines.
Well, I mean, Kyle, your car kind of does that for you because everybody.
There's no
like as soon as I saw it before I even knew you were running 600s, I was like, man, that looks like Hervé's car.
I definitely, put together a brand. Even my profile pic on here is me with the damn zebra. So everybody knows the stripes or anything that's crazy like that is
That's exactly right. It's gotta be for you. Like I'm the flame guy, and
yes, the only one that's like I love the old school style like pinstriping flames and stuff, and then that big skull that's usually on the hood of your cars. That's kind of a dead giveaway. Like look for the skull or look for the flames.
Look for the flames. We actually, it's so weird. The sprint car, like the big skull, works really good on the micro just because of the hood's form, but on the sprint car, it doesn't work as good. So, my designer and me are like, let's change this up. So rather than 1 skull, he put 1,000,000 skulls on the side of the car, and it actually looks really good. And we've got our Eastern, or not Eastern trump car, but we have a new car sitting in our garage that I haven't showed anybody yet that looks pretty killer. It'll be our motorsports show car that's going to go in the USAC East Coast booth.
Awesome.
That people are gonna love. It's different. It's the same, but it's different. And it pops. Looks really good. So excited for people to see that. And Hervé, I love the stripes. I gotta say, I do love the stripes. I love the zebra stripes.
Everybody since I started doing that either hates it or loves it. There's nobody who looks at it and just like, man, it's another car, and that's the absolute goal.
There's no missing it. It doesn't matter if it's good or bad. You can't miss it,
dude.
There have been other drivers with the slingshot when I was like really aggressive with the dazzle camo when I first started it, and they'd come off the track and they're like, I couldn't even follow you anymore. I was getting dizzy looking at the damn car.
Perfect.
That's the goal. You gotta mess them up.
That's your competitive advantage. You gotta make them busy.
If you look in my micro, like my dashboard and the floor of the micro are also wrapped completely in that pattern as well. So I'm also staring at it the entire race.
God bless your everything.
Joey, I have to ask you because I asked Christian the same exact question because This still blows me away. How many like dials or
In-car adjustments
in-car
do you have
adjustments
in the
do you have
micro?
in the micro slash sprint car?
Well, so I'm simple with the micro. I just have obviously everybody's got their wing adjuster switch. So I really don't count that. But I only have left front, left rear, right rear shock adjuster. Single. I don't have the double adjustable right rear. And I don't have a W link adjuster. Um, but I'm easy with that. The sprint car, you're only allowed in car adjustments with a 410 non-wing. So USAC East Coast,
Oh,
as of now, you're not allowed shock adjusters, which I think is stupid. Because it originally the rule was to save guys money, but come on now, it's
we're
a
running
cable,
360s. You're not
right?
saving squat,
No,
man.
Yeah, right.
there's no saving anything. If you want to save money, sell out.
Yeah,
Um,
sell the car, bro.
but when we go 410 racing, we'll have the same thing as a micro front, left rear, right rear shock adjuster. And then in a wing car, all you're allowed is your wing adjuster. You're not allowed anything else. But
Oh,
some guys, and you could have this in a non-wing car too, will have some stuff you can uh, change. You can there's just some stuff you can play around with switches that'll do certain things to the motor to kind of adjust that while you're racing for slick track conditions. Um, but as for quick, easy adjustments, it's just your shocks.
gotcha. I mean, Kyle's got what? Kyle, you got like what, eight
Yeah,
things in there?
I don't
Nah,
even
I don't
know.
know how you race. I don't even use them. I just
Look at-
they're there for caution.
Listen to what Kyle has in his
I
car.
so I mean in the micro I have the all rebound adjustable, but compression adjustment on the right rear. I have a panhard car. I switched it over to a wing motor as the adjuster, like Damon did. So I have that switch on the dashboard. Then I have a portioning valve for the rear brake, and I feel like I'm forgetting something. I don't even know. But
That's a lot of
yeah, I
stuff.
just like having the adjustments. I mess with them a fair bit.
Like when you're
During the run,
driving or
but-
like under caution.
Both.
Oh my
Well, I'm driving. Yeah, it depends on how the car's handling. The first couple times I ran, I'd be going around and just grabbing the switch for the wing motor to move the panhard bar up and down around the lap just to try and find a spot where the car felt comfortable. But my whole car was just a little bit off. Once I got the setup a little more dialed in, then I didn't move it as much. And then in the TQ, we just have the panhard adjuster, right front shock tie down, and brake bias, which those all move throughout a race as I'm running.
Like is that just a comfort thing? Like once you get comfortable, like so
Sounds
you,
like too much to
if you're
think
in a
about.
car that's built for you, right, and then you get comfortable in the car, like you just have like that extra time down the straightaway. Like, granted, I've only had less than 10 laps, and I've driven bigger cars and stuff, but I feel like I'm just like super focused on like figuring out how to drive it, so I'm not
Yeah,
not to
I
that
mean,
point, but like man, I can't picture my mind being that comfortable going as fast as I can go in a race car to just be like, oh, you know what? I think I'll turn this knob a little bit. You know,
Yeah,
just...
I mean,
Well, so like it's weird. We got the same idea on this. Like when I race, yeah, I really don't think about what I'm doing when I'm turning them.
exactly.
Um,
Once you've raced and you know what the car needs to feel like for you to
Right,
be able
absolutely.
to go fast, you just it just starts to become second nature. So like when I first started out in the micro, I'm like, I got all these dials, I don't know what any of them do. And I walked up to
right.
Ryan
I was the
Greth.
same way.
I walked up to Greth and I'm like, what do I do? He said, I don't know, just grab a knob and start twisting, figure out where it feels good. And I went, okay, cool. I'll start doing that. So then like the next couple races, I would just max it out one way or the other until I found, a
On the
spot
sweet
where,
spot. Yep.
yeah. And now it's just down to, I'll be running around, and if I know I'm going to go from the bottom to the top or vice versa, I'll just twist a couple knobs to get the balance of the car where I think it needs to be. And it's just kind of as I'm going around, I'll just, start twisting the shocks or, shutting the rear brake off a little bit more to get the car to rotate. And it's kind of just a feel thing. And now I don't even really think about it. I just know what needs to happen, what I need from the car, and when I need it.
Yeah, I'm honestly the same way. Like, so like one of the things is Brian was telling me this year of when I'm turning them, I need to count my clicks and whatnot, and I'm like, I hope he's not listening. I just turn them. I don't think about that. I just
I
crank
love
on them until I don't like it. Um, my always thing is, I always think of it as an X. Like the car, you got to think about it as an X. Your left front will dictate what your right rear does, and your right front will dictate what your left rear does, so forth, so forth. So
Yeah.
I have noticed with the micro sprint, I actually mess with my fronts more than I do my rears. So like I love opening up. I could action track. My left front shock is always completely opened up by the end of a feature.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
just because I just like that right rear drive where on the right rear, I'll actually close the right rear shock a little bit, just to help it stay into the track, and then from there, like, there's I never mess with a brake bias because I'll shut them off. I already know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go in the corner, shut the brakes off, and
Hey,
flip out of the track. Which I've already I have some experience flipping out of tracks, so I don't want to do that any more
oh
than
my
I
gosh.
have. Um,
What happened? I turned my brakes off. I don't give a shit. Let's go.
which honestly, in the sprint car stuff, I wish we had shock adjusters just because when you're racing, kind of like no matter what, if you have a good car, you're gonna be fast. If you have a bad
Hmm.
car, your shocks are not gonna make you. You're not gonna win. That you just it'll help you maybe get a spot or two, but like if your car just sucks from the get go and you can only do so much with the adjusters. But in the sprint car, with how quickly the tracks change from heavy to slick to curbed up to anything, just being able to, like, if you mess up on your shock settings before you go out, just being able to fix what you did would be huge.
Yeah.
Because with how much weight to power and all that, shocks are honestly way I think way bigger and more and just more in depth on a sprint car than they are on a micro sprint. Um, Especially considering like you got guys. One of the big things in sprint cars is detuning. Detuning a motor, like you'll change nozzles and all that happy stuff. And you got other guys, they just completely change shocks. And we do it. We'll change shocks for track conditions. Micro sprint, I've never done that. Most I've done is change a left rear from a gas to an oil. And,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're kind of good. But um, no, adjusters are game changer in my opinion, and every series should just allow them. It's not hurting anybody. You got the big teams will spend the money. Honestly,
Sure.
even the little teams will spend the money. I've seen some of these little teams that I really don't think are little teams. Some of these people have some coin that they won't show.
Hey, they're ready
Um,
to compete, man. There's like, I mean, you got to do what you got to do if you want to run with the big boys, you know?
yeah, these guys will do it. Like even the way 600s are right now, and I I I can build a sprint car cheaper than I can build a micro sprint right now, and that to
That's
me just
nuts.
mind
Yeah.
boggles.
That's the
That
truth.
those prices have inflated. Like, it's almost worth it to just like go to Texas and find somebody that has one because
I
they
mean,
sell them so much cheaper. It seems like, or like any other place than Pennsylvania or in the surrounding area. Like you see them sometimes on Facebook Marketplace, they'll be selling like a roller. I mean, maybe it won't be the best thing, but like as far as a starter car,
Mhm.
outside of this area, you could probably get one way
And it's
cheaper
so
than.
insane. Like I talk about this. We're pretty good friends with Tanner Van Dorn and his family,
Hmm.
and we talk about it all the time. Like when Jason used to run 600s, the cars are not faster than what they used to be. But if you don't have the new technology when it comes out, you're immediately slow.
That's
It's
crazy.
it just doesn't make
it,
sense. But that's racing.
it's
Yeah.
almost like, over the last bunch of years with like shock technology and everything like that advancing, it's come down to not necessarily making the cars faster, but just making them more drivable in different conditions. So like a lot of the newer shocks will handle a rougher track better.
Right.
And so whereas, everybody used to just, elbows up and run through the ruts and bounce their ass off and everything like that. Now you
That's
got
exactly
guys
right.
that spend the money on the new CSI shocks that will just eat that up and will kill the guys who are on, older stuff that are just bouncing around out there.
Do you guys use like spring smashers and stuff like in the bigger cars or like the full size cars like
Uh,
modifieds and stuff or no?
well, we have do you mean like bump cups? Is that what you're referring to
Now,
with that?
There's like
what
a
he's
it's a
talking about, like with the modifieds, but
like
since the sprint cars are all bars, so they don't have coil over suspension, so they don't They
Oh,
don't do
okay.
that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
Like
no,
the bigger cars have the
the most
coils.
we do with our shocks, like we'll micro guys do it too. We'll throw bump cup, bump stops on just to shorten the travel, make the travel longer,
Yeah.
have the shock hit harder in the ground. You know, there's a million different things you can do. And at the end of the day, it's amazing. I think about this all the time. You spend all this money on all this different technology just to make sure your tire is contacting with the ground that little bit. Um,
It
at
could
the end
make
of the
the
day,
difference.
there's
Couple
only
tenths,
four
man.
points. Right, there's only 4 points of contact, and it's all the expensive stuff that just hook your tires up.
Yeah.
Uh,
But hey,
but
we're uh winding down here, getting close to our hour cap. Not a cap, but I like to stick it to about an hour. Anything more, kind of, it might be a little bit too much. But I guess any of the sponsors you want to shout out? Any social media people in the pit, stuff like that. We'll let you kind of take the reins and do a little outro maybe for us.
we lose them.
We might have lost the big show.
We
Oh
lo-
no, he's gone.
What an exit!
He's just like, you
At
know
the-
what? I do it all myself. I don't
At
need
the
no- I
same
don't-
time as we lost him, a fire like the fire department siren is going off like outside my house, which just scared me. That's
Really?
a odd coincidence, but Joey was done with the interview there, I guess. But I don't have his social media stuff pulled up in front of me
Neither
to
do
shout him
I.
out, but
I'm
we'll
gonna
have to drop it on the Facebook with the links. Ron, let them know where to find your stuff at.
Yeah, so this is Rip the Lip Over the Cushion. This is our weekly podcast. We're live every Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time here on Facebook and YouTube. So if you want to catch any of the live things, you can catch it here, or any of the replays are going to be on YouTube, Facebook, and anywhere you can get podcasts. You can check us out at Rip the Lip TV over on YouTube and TikTok, and also on Instagram. And here, our main thing is Facebook. We do all of our Facebook stuff. This off season is going to be mainly these podcasts plus driver interviews. Not too much racing going on unless I can get out to something else. But I think he made it back in here.
We got Joey back.
We got him
Maybe.
back. Yeah, we were just doing a quick outro here. But yeah, so for the most part, we won't be too many tracks, I don't think, on the off season. I don't really go too many tracks. I live like 5 miles from Hamlin, so it's kind of my deal. But for the most part, it's going to be all podcasts and talking to different drivers from multiple different series, because we got like slingshot drivers, 600s, some modified drivers that might come on here as well. So that's going to be super fun. Joey, before we lost you, we wanted to see if you wanted to shout out any of
I
the
apologize.
sponsors.
My computer just crashed, so I'm on my phone now.
Oh, word. Okay. Yeah, so any sponsors, anybody in the pits, I guess anybody that helps you along the way, just any social media, anything you want to shout out. This is all your time. If you want to give us a little outro, that's up to you as well. But yeah, the floor is yours.
Absolutely. JPM Masonry, can't go without thanking them first. Family business. They're the reason I'm in sprint cars, and my mom and dad, I can't thank them enough for everything they've done for me to get me to where I am today. Same thing with Amantea Real Estate. Same whole deal. Just super thankful for my parents believing in me and believing that I can do this and that I'm not just some rich kid from Mount Pocono. Throwing it back to the interview there. Another one, big one, Bruce's Feed Shop, been a very big help to us this year with getting parts as quickly as I've gone through them. Smith Titanium, also a big help to us. It's just making our cars nicer and lighter. We use their left front titanium brake rotor package, which has been a huge advantage on the slick track non-wing stuff. Who else? Who else is really cool? Radical Race Gear. Butch Lamb, like I was saying, he's been a huge help and supporter of mine for a long time. Stinger Race Fuel. Can't say enough about them guys. Them and Kenny Groff, honestly, are, besides my parents, are our second biggest sponsor. And without them, definitely wouldn't get fuel at the racetrack. But There's so much I'd like to say about Kenny. I know there's not enough time, but just a really great guy, and I appreciate everything he's done for me over the past 2 years with the deal we've cobbled up together. Actually, at Tulsa, I'll be running one of the Groff Motorsport cars that'll be branded in the 88J, but it'll be one of Ken's cars.
Nice.
Honestly, Timmy Buckwalter has been a huge help with our shock package, getting us dialed in. Him and CSI. All I've ever used in the sprint car is CSI shocks, and I use them in the 600s too. They've always worked well for me, and I've tried AFCOs and other stuff, but CSIs they just seem to fit. Other than that, I don't think I'm missing anybody major. I'm just trying to. Shop designs, Brandon Raymer. Beautiful race cars every time he puts out.
You gotta make a list next time.
Yeah, I guess I do gotta make a list. Honestly, I think besides him, that really sums it up for the big guys. And the little guys that help us out. Ryan Greth at 600cc Performance has been a huge help getting us dynoed and dialed in.
Nice. Heard a lot of good things about him.
Warnick Fab and welding. Welds on all my cars when I break them. He's always on call for when we need some fab work. Racers Used Parts Warehouse, Billy Dietrich and Danny, good friends of ours. They help us out too whenever we need it, and always love talking to Billy on the phone. CR Graphics, been painting my helmets for years with since quarter midgets, and never had a bad looking helmet. So he's
great.
For all you young racers out there looking to get a complete paint job, he's your guy. He's going to take a little bit, but in the end,
it's going to be nice.
6 months wait is absolutely worth it. 100% worth it. But other than that, I think that kind of wraps up everybody that helps us. Pencil Enterprise, Ed Pencil, for all you quarter midget kids that know him from back in the day. He's still around and kicking. Love Ed, and Ed's always supported me since I was 5 years old, getting out of ballerina dancing in the race cars.
Good. Yeah, I ran a bunch of his cars as well when I was little, running quarter midgets.
Yep, I remember the Star. I always remember racing the Star. The Star cars were always the hardest ones to pass. That was always what I remember about Ed's stuff. But
won a lot of races in his cars.
Yeah, we were always. I think we had a G-Force, then we went to Stanley's, then Bull Riders, and then now I know the new kids are all in Storm chassis. But
cool.
But that kind of wraps it up for me on sponsor wise, and
let everybody know where to find you at, your website, social media links, and everything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. You can check me out at on Facebook at Joey Amantea Racing. Instagram's the same. And our website is www.joeyamantearacing.com. Freshly revamped. It doesn't look like it was made 20 years ago anymore.
That's a good thing.
Yeah, I just took a look through it real quick. Looked really good. Got a lot of merch on there.
Yeah, thanks to Tori Pavel Design. She killed it on that whole deal, and I actually have to get. That's so good. I reminded myself of that. I have to get stickers from her for the cars. But if anybody interested in merch,
good.
Get it on there. And otherwise, I have a TikTok. I don't really use that much.
I use it, man. It's super good. It's a lot of reach.
I really don't know how to use it. I've been
make it up as you go, man.
The few times I've done it, I posted an in-car cam of my 8th to 2nd at Tulsa and had 53,000 views. So
that's what I mean.
It definitely does have reach.
The reach is crazy. Just make the whole channel of just in-car vertical videos.
Don't do that. I want to see you and Brian dancing.
That's
show us the real big shot.
That's for the private account.
We started this interview out with you explaining the experience you had dancing. Come on, you got to show it off on TikTok, or else it's going to waste. Make your mom proud.
You're exactly. I mean, man. I might have to whip out the dance moves. Maybe I'll find a big yellow yoga ball. And
there you go.
Maybe that'll be my thing. I think I might after this go talk to go talk to my crew and make sure we have a big yellow yoga ball in the
On hand.
trailer at all times from now on. So when we win, I just
Absolutely.
do a dance in victory lane with
Yes,
it.
sir.
Ross Chastain smashes watermelons. Joey Amantea, the Big Show, rolls around on a yellow yoga ball.
That's exactly right.
Doesn't get much better than
Everybody's
that.
got to come up with something.
Dude, it'll go viral. No, everyone will just be talking about it. It'd be great.
You
But,
got to
hey,
be different. I don't know if that's a good different, but it's definitely
definitely different.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, man. I really appreciate you coming on and talking with us and just giving us a nice rundown of kind of what you got going on. I really appreciate it, and it's super fun talking to you, man. It's like it's actually super easy to interview or talk to you because you got all the stories. It's actually pretty amazing.
There's hundreds of stories I could tell. But this was cool. It reminded me back when COVID started. Me, Christian Bruno, Aaron Bollinger, and our buddy from New Zealand, Troy Pennington, started a podcast that we did for a little bit, and kind of that went away once racing started. But
sure,
this was cool to get back kind of that roots.
More focused on racing than podcasting. But this one should be pretty consistent for the majority of the off season. But speaking of the guests we have coming up next week, we have Morgan Beelers coming on the show and talk to us about racing and everything she's got going on, which is super cool. Super fast, and she's raced for quite a while too. After that, we have Brett Bieber, which is hopefully coming off his world championship that he should hopefully lock up at Worlds for the slingshot. The 13th, we have a super special guest in Tanner Holmes, which is great. Then we have Kyle Traska, which is one of Kyle's TQ friends. He's going to be talking to us about, I guess, asphalt driving going into the Turkey Derby, which is kind of cool. Yep. And then my friend AJ Albreda, who does graphics and runs slingshots, he's going to be on the 27th, and then we'll move into December and hopefully have some other guests. Hopefully, I got a good list here. I just kind of have to put them in order and let them know when they're going to be on. But it's super cool having a bunch of people that are interested in being on here, and hopefully we can keep it going for the entire off season. And then who knows when the season starts what we'll be getting into. But again, Joey, appreciate you being on here. Super cool. Great stories, really funny. I had an amazing
thank you
time,
guys,
man.
really appreciate it.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, this has been Rip the Lip Over the Cushion here on Facebook and YouTube. We'll see you guys next Sunday.
Later.
Go.